So you want to Ripper immediately upon gaining control, because it can give you a small speed boost. Like that. They want to swap to Polearm, Foxblade, and RP grenades.
I'm impressed. The brains are in the server room undergoing training. Knock yourself out. Go nuts.
Let's do a jump, and then slide into the receptionist and get over to this area. So the way I do this fight is to, after the spawn immunity is ended, I polearm the guys to my right, and then the guys to my left with the second hit. So like that, and then I jump over here, cut this guy, and then polearm that guy, and with the swing, it's gonna continue and hit the wolf that's standing behind me. Then I try to jump and do a polearm hit on that guy. You can also slide to kill him, which is a lot easier. But that's another way of doing it. So just ninja on your way up here and hit this trigger, and then you have to wait a bit.
Which we should have expected, I suppose.
I will access the control unit. Perhaps you can hack an elevator and make it operational.
Ooh, splendid idea. By all means, yes. It seems the guards are storming the building.
So while you're waiting for this elevator, there's an EM grenade in this chest if you want it. And there's nano paste behind this glass. But yeah, you just sort of have to sit here for a minute. After this elevator, there's a small time save that's seemingly dependent on RNG. I would not recommend going for it either way if you're new, because it only really saves a few seconds. But I'm just gonna cut the waiting part out from here on. Right, so once Doctor is really happy, you just run to this elevator and then you slide into it as quickly as possible. Match through this codec thing. So for the fastest strat, it's seemingly dependent on RNG here, but basically the enemy ahead of me is going to be quite a bit further ahead. I checkpoint restarted this, so he's a bit early, but if he's not past this middle desk here, then you can do it. So cut his head or shoulder off, and then cut that, wait here for his corpse to explode and to distract the other guys. And then you can jump along here, cut this panel, that guy won't see you, and then you need to run along here and throw an RP grenade into this thing. Then you need to do a lot of stealth landing to get past this part, and then cut this, and if you jump over here then there should be no enemy. So for regular strats, you just want to do boom as before. Cut this, jump through, and go for the panel first. Cut this guy. Cut this guy, and then you want to be mashing ninja run cuts here, because if you're spamming cuts then you can't accidentally ninja run over the counter. So just mash it, kill that guy, cut this panel, run back here, cut this guy, run over here and cut this thing, and as the raptor comes to attack you, you want to go into blade mode and mash cuts to make sure that you kill the dwarf gecko, otherwise you will have to run back. Then just kill this guy. So you can slide here. I think it's kind of hard, but whatever. Mash for this, and you usually do not want to slide after this, because if you slide like this, then the enemies will reach you faster and can hit you, which will stun you, so don't do what I did. This part is mostly just movement, so just try to squeeze in as many jumps as possible. And that slowdown thing that I mentioned before the monsoon fight can happen here too, so if you drop low, just manually use a nano pace to avoid that. So there are multiple ways to just get up this thing. I know Beatrix just sort of jumps at it and then Ninja runs up here. The way I do it is to just jump up here, jump again, and then do manual jumps to get up, but like just pick whatever works for you. So mostly nothing spectacular. Here you want to jump over that and then back in so you can jump through the gap there. Then jump up the right side here. Want to cut this guy once, and then you want to get into position. You want to be not too close to the window, because then for some reason, if you're like standing right in front of it, then the trigger just won't work, so step back a tiny bit. If like the grad takes a while to despawn. So here, spamming jumps doesn't actually make you go faster, but for some reason it makes the rockets just barely ever spawn. So just do that. So here I jump, I slide and then skip, because if you spam both A and B, then you will cancel it in the air and have to land before the actual codec starts. So I should note here that it does not matter if the rocket guys or the two after them only lose their legs in timeout, because we're gonna time out the final guy anyway. So rip her up, jump along this bridge, cut the guy on the bridge, hold on these two together, and you can go for either rocket guy. It influences the path of the next two enemies, so just do whichever one you feel comfortable with. Hold on them together, and then you want to run at this guy, slide, and then before you hit him, you just want to cut his feet off. You want to run over here, do a polearm jump, and woohoo. So this score screen will appear here. You can either ninja run over this gap or do a manual jump. Obviously if you do a manual jump, then it'll skip the score screen faster, but then you just want to jump up onto that thing there, and then do a regular polearm air combo and ninja run over the fence. I should mention that if you're too fast and the score screen like ends about the same time as you hit this checkpoint, then the game can crash because you start two checkpoints at once. So once you're like safe and you're over here, you should like manually just press B once or so to skip it to make sure it doesn't crash. And then spam past Wolf.
You can reach the server room via the freight elevator just ahead.
So rip her up and just casually slash these guys as you're moving past. Press this button and swap to Murasama. So the cow spawning here is after two cyborgs have despawned. So what we gotta do is to stand next to this guy, and after spawn animation ends, just do a double polearm, then polearm this guy, then do a ninja running jump up here, and after he stepped back, cut him 3 times, and then do a polearm air combo to despawn the second guy's body faster.
Look up, Raiden! Another freight platform!
Sadly, it does not seem like looking up actually does anything. But these two cyborgs actually don't have spawn immunity for some reason, so you can immediately just start a breakdance attack and kill all these guys. Sadly, it doesn't really matter how quickly you kill the cyborgs and wolves, because the spawn of the raptor is timed, and he's the only one that matters. Just polearm him. Cut the gecko as it spawns up top. there's two possible strats here really. So the fastest way is to just stand in front of these two as they spawn in, and then cut them just above their chest and knees after their spawn immunity ends. Then do a pull-down jump up here, which can be pretty hard on console since you're probably lagging pretty hard. So if you can't do that because it's too hard or your FPS is terrible, then cut these two guys, stand by this button, and with proper timing you can pretty much kill most of the geckos that spawn in, but you might need to do another combo and then jump over to the elevator. So with either method you just want to equip Pincer here. Ripper, and the way I set this up is to stand with the black and yellow line meet, line my head up with the left side of where the middle part ends, then just walk forward until I'm on this intersecting black line, and then hold X. So once this guy fully has his weapon out, I let go, jump into this corner, charge Pincer 1. Once he's jumped back a bit, I let go, and then ninja run cuts to kill them, and then skip past the score screen, and you're not actually out of bounds here, like you just haven't gone fully up yet, so you can navigate through all of this.
The server rooms ahead?
Yes.
What should I, if they're...
Quite the button.
Yeah.
Indeed. And I even...
So that if you...
Well,
Whatever.
So for AI Mistral, you wanna RP grenade shortly after the fight activates, so just run along here, RP grenade, and charge Pincer 2, charge Pincer 3, and if you time the release of the final hit right, then she will always get hit. So if you get grabbed or something, then you timed it wrong, or you were standing too close. Anyway, get an EM grenade equipped here, charge a Pincer 2, and after he's hit you 2 or 3 times, you want to let go. And then throw an EM grenade into this corner, cut his head off, and you want to specifically not hit his head after this, like just run somewhere in the room and charge a Pincer 2. You want to wait until he's hit you a few times, and then let it go, and then block whatever attack he does. And then do an uncharged Pincer 1 and a charged Pincer 2, and he will die. So just run into the speech trigger here and wait around a bit. During it you just wanna equip Cardboard Box and Foxblade.
Familiar with the lesson plan? Graduation present.
So moving to
Get Sundowner. Do not lose
Sundowner is really just that, just movement. So just jump along here, and you have to ninja run up these sadly, even if you get that stupid animation right there. Just make your way along here. So as the fight starts, just Ripper, lock on, and after he charges, jump over him, do a charge Pincer 1, charge Pincer 2, wait a bit, and then do charge Pincer 1 again, then do a charge Pincer 2, but miss with the first swing and hit with the second. There's really not much to say about this part. You just sit in the corner and mash out rockets, or don't mash out rockets. Doesn't particularly matter. One thing that is important though, once you reach the end, is that you cut the middle part with blade mode at least once. Like if you cut the edges, then it won't break and you'll fail and you'll die and you'll look really silly. You don't want to look silly because this is a cool video game for cool people. So don't cut this part, cut this part, the squared part. And then just hit YB here. And you don't have to cut him at all. then you just smash through this codec.
What? Who?
And I think we can safely say that everyone who is someone slides to knock him off the building. They don't hit it with
I've
pincer
taken martial
because
aid
pincers are for sissies.
Right.
I know.
And if it's good.
And they
What?
these are if some
Oh, the what?
content.
Official.
Then we have
Never. It is.
Hold up, it's not
Court.
an R Mark 17.
That was
Right.
It's very important to get an ass rating here.